Hello again, I'm Rodney Reynolds and welcome to another video review. Today I'm looking at the SilverStone Grandia GD06 home theater PC case. SilverStone boxes are pretty nice looking. It has this kind of black theme, but as you can see, it's very well done. Lots of pictures of the product on the box, as well as plenty of features and specifications. Good if you're picking it up in store. If you're not, well, it doesn't matter so much. Now I'm going to open this from the top. Be careful when you're cutting through a product like this, not to damage it, so don't cut too deep. Your typical packaging material, styrofoam on either end, and the case itself is a plastic bag. Looks like we've got some accessories here, as well as the user's manual. Some cable ties, looks like a power lead here for 3 fans, some screws, looks like some little feet, and a USB adapter. Now let me take this out of the box. I'll just tip it upside down, lift the box off, remove the styrofoam, remove the bag, now let's have a closer look at this case. So this is a home theater PC case, but you could still use this as a desktop case if you want to. Now the front of this has a combination of aluminum and plastic. This piece right here is aluminum, and actually this is a huge door. I'll show you that in a minute. And the bezel is plastic. Now let me unlock it. And by the way, this kind of just gradually, gently opens up. Now normally I'm not a big fan of doors on cases. However, in this particular situation, in a home theater PC environment, I think it is fantastic, especially if you have any little ones running around. If you have kids, you know how they love to press buttons and open things. So all you can do is flip this up, lock it. They cannot get at it. Everything is in here. They have 2 hot swappable 3.5-inch drive bays, and they just simply pop right open like so. So to drive in and secure it into place. Little lever here on the left-hand side. Also, there's another space right here. This is a 5.25-inch drive bay. 2 USB 3 ports. Here's the microphone and headphone jack, and reset switch. Now the power switch is not inside of the store, but rather at the front middle of the case. It is kind of hidden there though, because it blends in with this front bezel design. Below the power switch, there are 2 LEDs, one for power and the other one for hard drive activity. At the top there's ventilation. On the left side there's more ventilation, and they include a 120mm intake fan, but this fan can be removed if you prefer, and install an optional 80mm fan right here. On the right side they include 2 120mm intake fans, and by the way, all 3 of these 120mm fans come with dust filters. At the back of the case, 2 optional 80mm fans can be installed. Here's where the motherboard's I/O shield plate gets installed. There are 5 ventilated expansion slots. The 4 main ones are here, and there's another one right here. And you can fit a standard ATX power supply in this case. Now they didn't include any thumb screws for easy removal of the top panel, but I believe this is intentional. This case has a kind of secure theme with that front door, which is lockable, and let's face it, it's a lot easier to remove thumb screws than regular screws. And to remove the top panel, all you need to do is take off the 3 screws using a Phillips screwdriver, slide it back, and then lift it off. Now, as you can see, the inside of this case is not black. That's pretty typical for these home theater PC cases because, to be honest, you know, they're not on display. They're usually in a cabinet somewhere, so that's not a big deal with a case like this. Now, this case fits micro-atx, mini DTX, and mini ITX form factor motherboards. Now there are a few different drive options. You can have one 5¼ inch drive installed, and you can install a combination of 3½ inch and 2½ inch drives on these two cages right here. And by the way, both of these come out, although there are a number of screws here which you will need to remove to take these cages out. Now there is a support bar through the center. This can be removed, and it would have to be if you're installing the motherboard and all the other components. Note also they have little rubber rests all over, different things here at the top, and this is to prevent the top panel from vibrating. And they also have these little drive rubber grommets. Now I thought I'd show you how to remove this drive bay cage because it's a little bit tricky. First of all, you need to open those two hot swappable 3½ inch drive bays, and then remove 4 screws, 2 here and 2 more at the front. And what you need to do now is kind of lift it up here at the front, and then you can take it out. Now to remove this drive cage, you've got a few different options. You can just take these 2 screws out for this center post or support bar, as well as 2 more on the other side of the case, and just remove it like so. Or you could just leave this bar installed and then remove these 2 screws and the 2 on the other side and just remove this. Now with all that removed, you can see that there's plenty of room to work on the inside of the case. And that's what's good about these home theater PC desktop style of cases. Now there is plenty of room in this to install a very long video card as well as a pretty long power supply. You might have to remove this fan or remove it and install an 80mm fan if you want to. Also, the case gives you a fair amount of space to install a pretty high cooler. Now I mentioned earlier that each of the 120mm fans has a dust filter, but you will need to use a Phillips screwdriver and remove 4 screws to take off the dust filter. So it's not that easy to remove, nor is it that hard to remove, but I thought I'd point that out because some cases have, dust filters that are extremely easy to remove. They might slide or push off. And there is provision to organize the cables inside of the case. Now, typically for home theater PCs, you do not need a lot of power. I always recommend that you get a brand name quality power supply, because it will ensure that your system works properly. Now SilverStone has this particular model. This is a 400-watt model. This is one of their Strider Essential Series power supplies, and it's small and will have no problem fitting inside of a case like this, and you can leave that nice large 120mm fan in the case. If you get a bigger power supply, which in most cases you won't need, it's probably going to go back, and then you have to remove the fan and possibly install an 80mm fan. I would try and keep as many large fans as you can inside of the case for airflow. Now let me turn it on and let's have a listen. Now this home theater PC case might not be elite. It's more in the affordable budget home theater PC category, but that's fine because a lot of us are looking for budget home theater PC cases, and it fits that category perfectly. This case has lots of excellent features. I love the fact that you can lock up that front door. The power switch is still outside, but everything else is inside of that door. Also, plenty of places to install drives. I really would have liked if you could fit a standard ATX motherboard in this. That would have been the icing on the cake. But all things considered, the fit and finish, the overall style, build quality, and features, this is a great product. Until next time, take care.